Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Travis Told You. I am your host, Travis Now, as always. This is the August 10th edition of Travis Told You. I got some fun stuff to talk about today. Lots of things going on in the GeekVerse world, just in the world in general. People taking the Fifth Amendment and all that good stuff, but that's for a different show. But, it's fun times in the world. But yes, this is Travis Told You So. This is a solo show hosted by me. I am doing this live every day, Monday to Thursday, 3 p.m. Now, I say that, look out tomorrow. I'm not sure the exact time yet, but tomorrow I'm probably going to go like an hour earlier, maybe 2 hours, but at least an hour earlier, because I am on Marvel Alliance tomorrow, so I want to give some time in between because I have to do the show, edit, stuff like that, eat. So that's where going to do that. And then also I will be on GeekVerse 509. I'm always on GeekVerse, but just that's happening. As always, we do our weekly GeekVerse one. Going to be doing She-Hulk predictions, going to be talking about our Predator ranking. We're going to be reviewing I Am Groot. So it's going to be a good time. I'm excited to catch up with these guys. I'm excited to talk about the She-Hulk predictions because we got some good business ones and some story ones. And it's always fun when we got a new MCU project away because that is now, what are we at? We're Wednesday. So just over a week, 8 days away, and that's happening. But yeah, we got tons of things. We just recorded a 4-hour long retrospective of the Fellowship of the Ring. Now, for patrons, there's a couple of those other ones early. You can get the Hobbit ones right now, but then Fellowship will be going up the next few weeks, and then we got Two Towers and Return of the King. I imagine those will probably be the same length. We did a deep dive, and we got heavy into some stuff. Great in the themes, characters, acting, the movie production. Just this is a podcast we've been waiting for 7 years, and you can tell we've been waiting to talk about this. Lots of passion on there, so go check that out when it should be on Patreon the next, I'd say probably this weekend. Got to fine tune some things. That's 4 hours, so it's a bit longer. But go check out that. And it's going to be a good time. We got tons of stuff like soon to be in September. What we got: House of Dragon, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, She-Hulk, and Andor. That's going to be in September, but still, going to have lots of things going on right now. And then, later on this week, I'll be reviewing Bodies. As I said, I will be tomorrow. This will be going earlier. So as always, follow us on social media. All the links are down below where to find us on Discord, Patreon, YouTube, the whole shebang, all that good stuff. Where to rate, review. For next week as well, I think I've already said this, but just to keep hashing it and keep pounding your brains, I'll be going Sunday to Thursday, or Sunday to Wednesday, actually, because Thursday I will be away. I won't be here in Kelowna or on my desk or anything like that. So I think they'll be going and doing GV News without me. They're going to do that one. But then, for the Travis Told You, just a day early, and Sunday we'll see. And a big thank you to everyone that tuned in yesterday. Tons of fun. And it was fun because you guys create a whole nother topic. And that's where I always got to say I'm very grateful for not only this show, but just GeekVerse in general, that we have anybody that listens. And yesterday was lots of fun. You guys create a whole different topic that we didn't even plan on. We're talking about the Spider-Man MCU stuff, so that was lots of fun. So it's been a different week this week. Yesterday we were talking big, not big, just more MCU, broader topics. Today it's all about DC, and like I said, Patreon, that's the best way to support us. You get these episodes early, ad-free. You get other episodes early. You get exclusive episodes depending what tier you're on. This Sunday, 9 a.m. PST, which I still need to announce to the patrons that the changes happened. After 9, you can join and call in. That should be lots of fun. We have lots to discuss. The Better Halves episode featuring all our girlfriends and wives and stuff like that. The preview for it is up for the main feed. If you want the whole thing, it head over to Patreon. But yeah, a big thank you to everyone that supports us, and we really appreciate it. Go to manscaped.com. Get 20% off, free worldwide shipping, and you can even stack that right now because they already have 20% off the website. So it's not 40%, but it is 20% off another 20%. So pretty good stuff. So yeah, today's mostly DC stuff because an article came out very late last night. It was surprising when it came out, but it was, I don't know why it wasn't, because most of the time they put these things in midday, try and get some good CEO and traction and stuff like that. Didn't happen today, or didn't happen that way yesterday. So it happened after the show. I'm gonna pull it up, but the headline was how the DC resets affecting the Warner Brothers people. Yada yada yada. Where is it actually? Here it's coming. right here. So the article was from Hollywood Reporter. DC Films reset adds more confusion for Warner Brothers slate. Now, there's a couple topics we're going to talk about here. We're going to get into Black Adam, a little bit of Flash. I'll just add in there. We got some trailers, things like that. But this main article, which was very interesting, and it kind of makes sense with a lot of things we've been hearing. So it goes on to kind of just say everything that's been happening, right? 10-year plans. Aslov took some digs at the former CEO about streaming, like everything we talked about, Batgirl, and even on Monday with some of the Wonder Woman, Superman stuff, right? So where was this? So this is what got interesting and kind of got like the headline. So before Warner Brothers sales to Discovery, Hamada was gearing up to release 3 to 4 films a year. The executive was brought in 2018 to chart a new course for DC after the roadmap spearheaded by Zack Snyder imploded in the wake of the disastrous release of Justice League 2017. And that like is true, and not about Justice like Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's just true that was such a defining moment for DC, unfortunately, like where we are. Like it all tracks back to Justice League, whether you like Zack stuff or not, whether you think they should chop it up, which I think most people don't think. But even then, like there's probably people that still don't like the Snyder cut, or they don't like Zack's vision for DC overall. It's still just that whole like fumbling of everything that happened in 2017. It's just weird that it's still 5 years later, and they're still kind of recovering from it. But Hamada's plans were to set out included a Crisis on Infinite Earths event to take on the seminal DC Comics store that was adapted for, and it was adapted for TV. Rumors circulated about introducing the Secret Six, a villain team in the comics that have been Suicide Squad antagonists. And then there's other stories we're going to talk about here about what films are, kind of on the bubble right now as far as the old regime. And SF says that was the next event. Truly was for Warner Brothers and DC over there. And it's so funny. So we had heard this, right? And this is where Jim Lee was hinting about something. He did some drawing, and he was hinting, and they did this at Fandom where he's like, oh, you wouldn't believe what we're working on next. And he starts to talk, and they like bleeped it and muted it, right? So it's like, what's going on? And there had been rumblings of this, and it's funny to tie all the way back to, there is a bit of a domino effect of Keaton gets replaced by Ben Affleck, for the Aquaman stuff. And then for Batgirl, that's not even happening anymore. So that's gone. It was a rumored / I feel like pitches out there. You never know nowadays, but there was, I'll say, whisperings that obviously we had heard a long time ago. Michael Keaton's Batman was going to be the Nick Fury of the DC universe, right? Not necessarily the Batman of that, but the Nick Fury, which I always thought, okay, well, Batgirl will be the Batman of that. Whether you like that or not, that's the route they're going. Clearly, they're not going that route anymore. And that was some of the ideas of, and the whispers of, Keaton's character maybe would be the warning of what could be coming or what could be happening. If people don't know, Crisis on Infinite Earths, that's one of their big crossover events. It's a big kind of multiverse thing. There is the Anti-Monitor taking out a bunch of different universes, and pretty much what it is multiverse madness. Shit, I don't want to say that. Oh, Marvel, but no, like it is heroes from different universes having to team up. And what does it do? Of course, at the end of the story, it creates one streamlined universe, kind of, was essentially a reboot of, here we go, we're continuing forward this route. But it's a lot of stuff, and it was a big pivotal moment for DC. And it is, I'd say, like the Infinity War Endgame equivalent to what they'd want to be doing, right? Now, there's two sides of me, and even with Hamada, it's so interesting, right? Take out the personal stuff, because, and people are going to say, you can't do that. 100% you can't do that. But the personal stuff is tricky with Ray Fisher and the Justice League investigation. Some people say it's hearsay, but at the same time, nothing's ever been done about it, and they haven't gone after Ray Fisher. So it's like, what is, what isn't? Bad situation overall. But with Hamada, he's had like an interesting track record, and that's always been the thing where, he was under the regime where they gave us the biggest DC movie of all time. He took over in 2018, well before Aquaman was already happening. Now, there was rumors that James Wan really wanted him that role because he could trust him in that role. And then there's even stuff with Joker where it's like he wasn't a fan of Joker. But then some people go, oh, well, that was more of a Toby Emmerich thing. The problem with DC, it's been such a mess, and there's definitely blame game going on. I feel like there's things that are good and bad about Hamada. I do like whether it's him or Hamada or Kalar. Hamada is the senior advisor, something to DC Films, but it's not like what they're going to do with the DC studios as far as we're going to have one guy like the Feige. He's just kind of the head of that division. It's not a whole studio by itself. I've always said I did like, especially what we got before, where it seemed like we were doing DCU stuff and then the multiverse stuff, the Batman, Joker stuff like that. So if that continues, I won't have a problem with it. I would miss that aspect if he's brought that way, like if he brought that to the table and we kind of go the other way. There's all these rumors last week that he left and he got so mad about the Batgirl cancellation, he's staying to Black Adam. I think that's more contract stuff. That's more, hey, you're not going to get paid if you don't stick around, or hey, your contract states you got to do this, this, and this to get your check. So I don't think he will be around for much longer. But it's interesting. We'd heard these rumors about Keaton kind of being the crisis warning guy, like something's coming, something's happening. And the fact that they're actually going to do it. Now, this doesn't say when it was supposed to happen on the slate, right? Could have been a few years from now. Could have been like another 6 to 7 years, but it's tough for me to think about that, because I do, anytime you hear about a big event in comic books, like, oh, I'd love to see them do that on screen, especially what happened, with Marvel. You want to see that, and even Days of Future Past to a lesser extent. I do want DC to have that. I don't think they were in a place for Crisis, and that's where I'm 50-50 on the story, where I would like to see that. Don't think I would have liked to seen that as of right now. I don't think they were prepared for that. Now, we don't know what was going to happen in the following years leading up to this, as far as to get us to our Infinity War, our end game, right? But it's interesting as far as and with the multiverse stuff, I don't know what you would necessarily do, because you got Keaton back. I guess you could start pulling stuff from like, Nick Cage's Superman, things like that. But like even then, like I feel like the actors, like a Christian Bale or Robert Pattinson, they're not gonna be in any multiverse kind of mumbo jumbo sort of deal and everything like that. But who knows? I like that. I guess at one point there was a plan to do this, right? There was a plan. Hey, we're gonna lead to that, and I hope that they also have this plan. But it feels like, okay, as this article is saying, that was the plan, right? Sounds like that's not happening anymore. Sounds like one of Keaton's roles was to be, hey, the warning of Crisis. That sounds like it's getting reduced. Even Aquaman's gone back and forth as far as being rumors that role is not even that. It's more of a Bruce Wayne was actually helping Arthur in the movie. So much is out there from so many different scoopers, and sometimes with like people we trust and everything like that. Yeah, Josh Brolin's showing a hex walks through the portal. That's what I mean. Like, I like the idea and concept, but MCU had a lot to build up, because not even then bringing back like a Toby or what the hell, Andrew. They just had years of MCU that they could play with different characters, right? Which you could, but some of them it's like, are you bringing Henry back? Are you bringing Ben back? Clearly, I guess Ben would come back, but I guess you even got like a Jeffrey Dean Batman and stuff like that. You could have Linda Carter back, but I think it's a bold play, and I think that would have been something that would have got people excited. Even if it would have been messy, people would have been like, okay, how do we do this, right? But it doesn't sound like that's happening anymore, and I think that's a good thing. I think a Justice League, we don't know if the whole thing is right. We're going to find someone, make this 10-year plan. There's actually no 10-year plan. It's just, oh, well, they keep using 10-year plan. Or I guess we keep using it, but still, they dropped it. To me, that's a buzzword. They're trying to get it cemented in our minds, 10 years, right? I've said before that I don't need a full slate reveal. I was actually talking about this Clay and some of the other GUA people, where it's like, I don't need here's 10 years, boom. Don't do that, because you need wiggle room, right? And I'm not saying you got to copy Marvel, but sure, copy them as far as do the 2 to 3 years. I think 3 years max is good. I would say 3 years max, or to the point of when you want to do a Justice League. If you got, Justice League 2, they'd call it something else, I think, but Justice League 2 is this year. We got to kind of work backwards. Let's say it's 2027, okay? We're going to work backwards, and let's say next year after, we're going to give you our 4-year slate. I would be down with something like that. The 10 years, that pivots you and like puts you in such a hole, hard to pivot from. Now, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because it's just a slate and just pictures, because look at what the old slate was, right? We would have had a Flash movie by now. Probably should have had a second Flash movie. We would have had a Cyborg movie by now, Green Lantern Corps. What else was listed on there? Justice League 2, Part 2, right? So the slate, just because they put up there, it's not like Marvel where, oh, this could actually happen. Dark Universe, right? So everything is up in air, but I do like that idea of, if we're gonna get a next big event movie, I think Justice League is the way to go. And I don't know what Hamada's plans was there, but it almost sounded like that was just, oh, we're gonna get to Crisis. I feel like you need a well-established Justice League, and even a few more sequels before we get to the big franchise film, that big kind of game changer, right? Because Justice League was supposed to be that. It was a game changer in a different way, but Let's see. So not even Marvel did a 10-year slate. That'd be like announcing Infinity War after Iron Man. And yeah, that's where I agree with them when they say, okay, hopefully we have a 10-year plan. And when we all say, let's see it, I don't think, at least I'm speaking for myself and some other people, I don't think personally we're saying, can you give us every single thing of the 10-year plan? Can you give us who's a cast? No, it's just like a general idea of where are you going? Reboot, not reboot. Talent involved, talent coming back. Plans with HBO Max, like concrete plans of, okay, just goes back, all got canceled. What is the exact barometer for what could be on HBO Max versus what's in theatrical? What is the idea behind not just the Snyderverse, but like if the DCU sticks around, okay, where do we pick up from that? So I think that's where it's just even a couple years would be nice. Some film, like I said, to a Justice League would be great, and I think you need at least 1 to 2. And I know it's starting to sound like Avengers, but clearly either, let's say it's a reboot, you need your new team established, so you need to do Justice League, you can't start with a Crisis. Or if you are, let's say you're getting Ben back, you're getting Ray Fisher back, you're getting them all back, I feel like they need a solid, now we got that with the Snyder Cut, but it's a question of theatrical wise, I would want another solid adventure of just that team. Sure, add Martian Manhunter there, but just that team to just lay that foundation even more. I know that's not in Zack Snyder's like 5-movie plan and stuff like that, but I do honestly think that I don't think Snyder's in the plans of this. I'm not going to say ever, but I don't think any 10-year plan will have Snyder like, oh, we're going to follow his vision. They might take ideas from it, but again, Flash could fully set us up to a new universe. So Flash could come out and we're good to go, and now we're going to pivot and make our own universe based off that. Kind of what I thought they would do before. The only difference is these people have a different idea as far as no Keaton there, and I hope the Keaton thing is not I hope it's just we didn't want to go down the story route, not something about, oh, we don't want to use Keaton, because I still think there's potential to do Batman Beyond. I still think that would have worked better if Keaton was in a separate universe, a la a Batman or a la a Joker. We're getting the crossover here. That's fine. I wish it was with a different character other than Ezra Miller's Flash, because like that doesn't excite me. I'm purely excited just to see Keaton's Batman, right? So yeah, I think that, and that's where it's been tough as far as like, with it's the same thing as Hamada and Zaslav. On paper, I look at this and go, you know what? I think this was probably the right idea. We don't need this big crossover yet. As somebody that wants that slate, as somebody that wants an MCU style like Justice League, and I don't need necessarily in tone, just the idea of a connected universe that has some thought behind it, not a 10-year plan in a bunker, just even 3 years of where we get from point A to point B. What are we doing with this character? Henry Cavill or not? Like, I know it's this thing that we go back and forth. Maybe they are kind of negotiating, but just come out and shit or get off the pot, pay the guy the money, figure out something, or say it's not happening. We're not bringing him back. We're recasting, we're rebooting, whatever it is, right? So I hope in the future and that's where you would need this chief as far as the DC studios to take over. I hope in the future that person can make these decisions and we will know about them and they can speak confidently on them. So Pickens says a well-done Justice League 2 would have to be made up for that PS first film. See, that's the thing where like that's always difficult, right? Because I agree with you 100% for the 2017 version. Snyder Cut, I don't think there needs to be made up. I think that sets up a great universe. Even the nightmare stuff that I don't even want to, or not want to, I don't even think they would tackle in this. I really enjoy that. I like the setup, but just even the idea. But again, it's always a mess. Can we get Ben back? Do we get Henry back? I love where we end with Lex on the boat, and I like that actually. Like that version of Jesse Eisenberg's Lex. See, like, okay, this could be something a little bit different. I love the idea of Deathstroke going after Bruce Wayne. Now, again, that would be the solo Batfleck thing. So it's like they did set up interesting things, but that is purely, I think, I want to see where Snyder carries on with that, right? Don't think that's happening. So for me, it's going to be Flash. When Flash ends, do they set our characters up in interesting ways? All of them. Keaton, Sasha Calle, Flash. Flash doesn't matter because they're going to recast or just not use that character for a while. Ben Affleck's Batman if he's around. Aquaman, Wonder Woman if she's in Flash. Like that's where that movie, I wonder what it could do. And that's what's interesting because in the second story we're going to talk about with Black Adam, there was some reshoots that happened with Flash. And that's why it's like nothing's, like, of course, reshoots happen with most of these movies nowadays, but nothing's off or on the table. And I think, yeah, there's always Ezra stuff going on with them, but at the same time, the delay could also help with just let's figure out, this is our chance to soft reboot, because either you could just reboot, and I think that's why Flash is at the end, because let's say I've said this before. Black Adam come out, Shazam, Aquaman 2, Shazam, Aquaman 2. If it's a mixture of like hit and miss, I don't know. If they're all hits, they're all, then it's like, okay, well, clearly we should stick with this universe. If it's all misses, well, clearly we should reboot. So I think Flash has a lot of wiggle room to what they're going to do with it. It could literally be the end of this franchise to start anew, or you could refilm some stuff like, hey, we're going to have you do this and do this, so it sets our heroes off in a different direction. So we won't know till June. It's going to be tons of speculation till then. I think the thing that will help speculation or deter it is if something like, oh, Henry Cavill's coming back for a 3-picture deal. If you start to hear stuff like that, even Ben coming back, sure, that's great. And I'm happy Ben's going to be back. I love him as Batman, but he's just coming back to fill a role on Aquaman. The tip of the hat to the reboot or not reboot or the universe will be, hey, we've signed X DCEU actor to X amount of years after this. That's when it's like, okay, this is what they're doing. But I don't know if they know what they're doing. And again, I don't know, is that a Zazoff thing or is that I want to hire somebody, they're going to come in and pitch, and let's say he talks to me, Travis Snell, and he's going to sit down and we're going to talk about visions. And I would either pitch him why we could continue the DCU, and he's like, great, let's go with that. Or I'm going to pitch him why we could reboot, and he goes, great, let's see that. Like, when he talks about this 10-year plan, how much input does he have on it? Is it we have a plan, we'd like you to execute it? Or is it taking pitches of, let's hear your plan, reboot or not reboot, whatever it may be. What would you like to do? We don't know. So in Crisis, I think that makes sense. Put that on the back burner. You can do that in the future. Do that when it might mean something. And hopefully we can get to that point. But I don't think it's going to mean something for a little while. So we will be right back after this first ad break. And we're going to talk about more from this report as far as Black Adam and Flash getting some potential changes to help with the DC universe, whatever the fuck that means. So we will be right back. And we're back. I was going to say only the live video watchers will know I almost said hi, but I didn't. But yeah, also in this report, let me pull it up here. So, let's see. So Black Adam here, where was it? Oh my God, where was it in here? Pretty much they're saying a few things here. So Black Adam, let's see. Oh, I was trying to find the exact quote. Anyways, with Black Adam, they said that, okay, they did more test screenings in June, and I'm not going to spoil. There's nothing to spoil. This is all just pure speculation from these 2 points here. That they said with Black Adam, there's another post-credit scene added. Now, I don't know, does that mean the old one was in there and taken out? Because we've heard rumors like Waller, we've heard rumors of Superman. Is that something where it got... It's a can of worms, right? Because if it's that Superman one, maybe there's a chance that Henry's in it. I think that would have leaked, and that would have came out from people test screen. Because now test screens have leaks, whether they're reliable or not. It does happen. But is it also a case where, okay, they couldn't get Henry and they saw the backlash, so let's take the Superman thing out? That's all that's known as. So they had reshoots, or they had test screenings in June, which was around just a month before Comic-Con time, and that could be the whole Rock being like, why, depending who's playing Superman. But it also said that it was going to make connections in the greater DC universe. I was gonna say, okay, here we go. The film had a June test screening, including new post-credit scene introducing a new element to Johnson's place in the DC universe. So that's what's interesting as far as if you're going back and forth between if it's a reboot or not a reboot. That gets me to lean more to it might not be a reboot if it's a scene, unless it's like, yeah, take that Superman out because his place in the DC universe is this is a one-off. I think it's best to say, like, play it safe, because I really don't know about Black Adam. It's been such a talking point. I said I don't think it's going to do as well as it could have done in summer. I think could have done pretty well. In October, there's some stuff coming out, and I just feel there's a general lack of buzz. But at the same time, I don't know, because when we saw Thor Ragnarok, the crowd that I saw it with was loving that trailer. And then even like when I talked to Dylan on GeekVerse News, like, he's not the biggest DC guy, but he goes, "Oh, I'm liking that trailer." So I feel like maybe it's just like our bubble, like the DC fans bubble. It's kind of like, this looks fine. We're here for the Justice Society. It's cool. Rock's here. I'm hoping it's good. I always want to like it. I like the trailers enough so far. I'm going to be intrigued for that review and the box office numbers and stuff, because I think this will also be a sign like what Rock's career is doing. But a post-credit scene to establish his place in the universe To me, that like that definitely has to be with the character or with the setting or something like that, right? Or the establishes place. Superman just flies and beats the shit out of him. That's it. They like CGI'd Black Adam, didn't tell The Rock, but it's interesting. Again, I feel like it leans more towards the not rebooting, and that's what we're gonna read into every little thing, right? As far as okay, that credit scene that's gonna tell us. I still think that what I was talking about before with the Flash, that is the key to hey, what are we gonna do? Because that's after all those movies, right? Black Adam, Aquaman, Shazam, and let's say they all bomb. That's like yeah, fuck it, let's pull the ripcord. But Flash is maybe like your last place where, okay, if we want to change anything and change it up, now's the time. With Black Adam, they could be making that movie with every intention to put him in the DCU and put him with the Snyderverse and stuff like that, and put him with Henry Cavill Superman and stuff like that. It's just a question of do you go that hard? And do you, and this, the good thing, what I was trying to say is that quote from Zaslav, right? We've seen these films, they're good, we can make them better. Whatever this reshoot is, this is in that Zaslav era. This is in the era where whatever this end credit scene is going to be, he or they, whoever had this team in place to look at this, went, this is what we could do to cement Black Adam going forward into this DC universe. But now, again, and why I don't think it's going to work, and why I don't think DC Studios is going to be what we all want it to be, I would assume that he's making these decisions. It's not, I've hired a DC chief, and it's like, let's say there's this post-credit scene, right? And even let's say it is the old regime shot a post-credit scene with just Superman. And it's like headless or shadow, but it's Superman. You get the idea that Superman, maybe Amanda Waller saying, hey, you need to go take him down. And as the DC chief, again, he hires Travis, sits me down and says, hey, look at this scene. Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think we should keep this because it's like some Superman hype? Do you think we shouldn't because there's no actor there or it's false promises? To me, that should be up to this person that's making this 10-year plan, right? But if he's already made that decision, again, when someone's coming in to pitch their 10-year plan or have a 10-year plan, it's still based off some things that Zaslav has already done. So that's where it's kind of like a disconnect. And that's where hopefully maybe him, Alan Horn, some others have a plan and they find someone that works with that plan. But again, it's not like a director. It's not like Foggy where, okay, I have a plan. I just need someone to execute it, but also bring in their style, their flavor to make this something different. This is something that would be running the studios, right? And that's why I don't have the greatest faith that we're going to get somebody that's going to, this is the, not the game changer like Feige, but the way that they're going to come in and have no problems. Like it's just going to go smooth sailing because as of right now, I guess you could also argue, hey, the reasons Zaslav's making these decisions because they haven't hired anybody. True, but then fucking hire somebody. Get like, unless there's some contract thing where they're waiting for someone's contract to run up so they can bring them over, then fine. But as of right now, it's like, get to cracking. Like this movie's out in October. So whatever this end credit scene, and again, if it's hype, then Zaslav could get some credit. If it's not, if it's Superman with the, shadowed headless figure, again, people are going to be disappointed. Like, man, it's the same old shit. And that's what I think I'm leaning towards a little bit with Zaslav. It's a, don't tell me, show me method right now. So apparently Black Adam has an end credit scene that's going to establish its place in the DC universe. What that even means, I don't know. Like I said, I think it's a character or setting to show, okay, these are our characters in the world. Yeah, no, I don't. I don't know exactly, other than the Superman one, what it would be. I guess you could have Diana or something, but maybe it's just him landing in Metropolis or Themyscira or something like that. But I don't know. It's going to be their first crack at it, right? Really, with Zaslav, because what else have they released so far? The Batman, but that had nothing to do with the DC universe, right? So this is going to be the first. This is Shazam back and forth. Maybe it's even something to do with Shazam, but they didn't really have much crossover for Comic-Con, so that would make much sense. But maybe they finally woke up and went, hey, they should have some sort of back and forth, and it's just not happening. So, yeah, Black Adam, we're not that far away, really. How many months is it here? God, August, September, October. We're like 3 months, just under 3 months away. So, or I think it's like October 21st. So we're about to be 3 months away. Or 2 months away. Yeah, we're under 3 months. So I'm excited for it because I think it's going to be very interesting, especially when you had all these rumors, right? And we know, I think most of us already know that it's kind of bullshit. The whole, it wasn't a good film, this and that. But all these rumors of, we want to, rumors of the test screening of Batgirl and Black Adam sharing very similar scores. And then you got Zaslav being like, we got to protect DC. We don't release anything unless it's great and it, does good for the brand. if that movie comes out and it's not good, and it like, imagine if that movie drops, and I know some people go, oh, I don't care about that, but still, imagine that movie drops and it has like a 40-30 or 40-50 even, like Rotten Tomatoes score, and you start getting The Rock doing that whole like, oh, we made it for the fans. Like, it's going to be very interesting because people go, oh, well, I it's you said you protect the brand. Again, he can go by, oh, what was the old regime, and oh, yada yada yada. And at the end of the day, I think they're just saying the quality of Batgirl, so it's just so they can, as we've heard, write it off. And that's the easiest way to say it, to make it look like you're good. Because yeah, I'm writing it all, or I'm not releasing it because I want to make sure DC has a good head on its shoulders. When really it's just you want some money, So, two post-credit scene suggestions: the Black Adam dog from Super Pet, but in live action. Oof. And then post-credit scene with the Wizard Shazam. It's possible. It's just like that definitely cements it in the DC universe, right? Because Shazam is in the DCU. He's talking about Batman and Flash in the trailer. In the first one, he's in there with the toys and everything. So he's in that Snyder verse, and maybe that's what it is. It's just more cementing it. But again, do they even... I think it would be smart to do that, even if you had another post-credit scene already. The fact that they don't do anything with Shazam, it's like, that's your next film. Get some hype, or maybe Black Adam's in the end credit of that. But it seems like they, again, are dancing around that. And maybe that... I think that would be a great kind of momentum booster if you got a post-credit scene of Black Adam, and then in the post-credit scene of Shazam, they are like... they're synergized. They feel like they're leading to something. And hey, maybe we never get it, but I think fans would be very excited because like the past few years, we've gone Black Adam, Shazam, very like little amount of acknowledgement, right? If you were to do that with these films, like a 1-2 punch, I think people would start feeling excited about this, and that would get some chatter of, oh, well, The Rock's connected to this and Shazam's connected to that, and you get that kind of homework thing where people might feel like, oh, I got to watch this and watch that. So it would be smart, and I don't know why they don't lead up and do anything to that, but we'll see in the next few months. Maybe they'll prove us wrong, and maybe I'll give them both, because maybe Black Adam you can just set up as a solo venture, but if you get nothing from Black Adam, nothing from Shazam, it's not looking good for those characters ever interacting, and I don't know how Shazam's going to do unless there was those rumors of a delay. Hasn't happened yet. The only thing from this report, and that's what I was talking about before with the Flash, that everything's on the table because Ezra, despite all their troubles with the law right now, which there's still even more troubles going on today, they were filming scenes in Los Angeles and went back to Vermont where they got a felony charge just recently. But that could mean anything. That could mean just little reshoots where we're going to fine-tune things, changing things, or that could literally be, like I said, let's say you want to do a ending where it closes the DCEU Snyderverse and we're going to start anew. You could literally film a scene with Ezra to change all that, to be the closing of the chapter. So, and that's right now. That film's still 10 months away. We got lots of time for Flash to change anything. Like, the thing is, Ezra could do something even worse and it could get pushed back and changed even more, right? It could get titled Batman Flashpoint or something. So I think all this stuff is in flux right now. That's why I can't wait to get to Black Adam, because that's going to be the first thing that they can't be in flux with because they got to release it. So we'll see. If you have any theories, let me know what you think this end credit scene could be, or the place in the universe. Who knows? But oh no, another fun DC report here. Nothing breaking, just still based off this article. So, in this article, this is talking about films that, films and projects that are likely on the bubble or they've slowed down production and things like that. So, continue to read from the article here. Where was it here? Some key collaborators have received assurances that their projects are safe. Suicide Squad filmmaker James Gunn has had multiple projects in development DC, including Season 2 of Peacemaker, which is moving forward. Insiders say Blue Beetle starring, I'm not going to say the name because I'm going to butcher it, as DC's first Latino superhero to top line movie. That's a name that the second I hear it, I can be good, but man, I don't want to do that. Is also on track for its August 2023 release date. Just about, Batgirl or like Joker and stuff like that. Let's see all these things, but work has kept it on Flash, like we were talking about. And now this is funny because we were talking about J.J. Abrams. He's come up a couple of times now the past few weeks, but as we were talking about the first story, her mom's plans were said to include a crisis movie. More concretely, Warner Bros. had scripts based on Supergirl Green Lantern Corps, and Static Shock expect to be in the next few years. Plus, J.J. Abrams produced Black Superman from writer Tenoshi Coates. Development has slowed with none of those features attaching directors. So, pretty much saying. Now, I love that they have Green Lantern Corps in there because it's like that movie was supposed to be out years ago. I don't think any of us were looking at this list expecting, oh man, development on Green Lantern has slowed down. Who would have thunk? So again, the wibble wobble of reboot or not to reboot, stuff like this makes me think, oh, they are going to reboot because they're going to save, do some things. Like we had heard this report last week about Sasha Kaye as far as there was talks of this film happening. Now it looks like those will slow down. Now Hollywood Reporter's talking about it. To me, that would show, okay, it's not happening. And the fact it's strange of, there's something else I want to talk about the story, and I don't care if you say I'm woke or whatnot, but it's the same thing as the Keaton thing, right? And I think this is worse. Sasha Kaye is in Flash, and this is where it points to reboot. Let's say Flash comes out, makes $1 billion, or it's just a big hit, right? And everyone's walk away. I love Sasha as Supergirl. I want to see more Supergirl, breakout character. Give us more of Supergirl. And you've already maybe slowed production, be like, hey, let's stop that. Now, I get it. Maybe they're slowing to be, let's see if it is a hit, but you could also argue they're, I imagine he's seen The Flash and he has said Zaslav, oh, it's good, we can make it better. But you could still maybe see and go, oh, this could be a chance. Let's have someone work on it. And people were working on it. My hope is that it's like, well, let's just see what happens when it actually comes out and pick it back up. My worry is just, nah, we don't need to do that. The Supergirl movie, that's not our thing. Because if you look at these films, Supergirl, female-led, Latino lead, okay? Green Lantern Corps, which we don't know what that movie is going to be, but it was always pitched as like a buddy cop film with Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan, right? Jon Stewart, black male, another person of color. Static Shock is supposed to be produced by Michael B. Jordan, obviously a lead of color, and then J.J. Abrams' Superman, the Black Superman movie. Now that's controversial, that one, right? Because lots of people, the rumor was it's going to be Black Clark Kent, and people didn't want that. They want other Superman. You can go back. We did a GeekVerse episode, I think about a year ago, talking about where I was very in the middle of, I understand doing a Black Clark Kent, but at the same time, you do have other Black Superman there. But there's a whole 50-50 on it, right? But you can't look at this, and it's Zaslav had that quote about, representation doesn't matter to me. It's just who's best for the job. And it sucks because in real life, that should be it. It should be who's best for the job. But most of the time, the people that use that have appropriated that to, I don't care about having diverse voices. That's what it really, to me, has meant over these past few years as far as, just best for the job. That's your way of saying, I just want to hire white people. And that's my excuse of, the best for the job, most cut out for the job. And with Supergirl, not happening. Like I said, there's two ways you could look at that as we are rebooting. I guess there's three. Okay, let's see what Flash comes out, see if people like her, then they'll move forward. That's one. And that to me is the hopeful one. Then there's two, hey, we're rebooting, so stop anything on this character, okay? Or three, we gotta, protect the DC brand and make sure our heavy hitters out there. I don't want, like they listed Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman. Let's get a Superman movie, not a Supergirl. I think they can coexist. I think you could have the separate movies, especially if Sasha pops. Again, we don't know what Henry's status is, but you can't argue, and it's tough, right? Because I know DC Alliance Clay hits that card really hard of Zaslav as a racist, right? And it's tough because he has been interlinked with some people, and I don't care. Fuck it, it's my show with Trump, who is a fucking racist piece of shit. Who I hope gets everything that's coming to him in these next few months and maybe years and whatnot. And Fifth Amendment, just suck it. And if you feel you don't like that what I'm saying, then you should probably not listen to my solo shows. There's been things in the past, but I never want to assume the absolute worst. I don't want to assume he's just a flat out racist, doesn't like anybody white people, right? But the thing is, and again, this could be all these different avenues, right? Because let me try and play devil's advocate. Supergirl, okay, we're not doing that, and that's where maybe it looks bad on paper. But it's tough because, it looks bad on paper because on paper it's all just female or people of color leads, that's where it looks bad. Why is there no one else on here? But let me try to devil advocate, and that's where you go, is it just bad timing, or is this guy like, no, we don't need a Supergirl, we need a Superman, no, we don't need this, we need this white, bigger character. Supergirl. So let's play devil's advocate. Okay, we're rebooting, so don't do that. Okay, that's one. Green Lantern Corps, really don't know. I don't know if it's just, hey, same thing. Maybe we have plans down the line. We have that show. So let's not do this movie now. Let's wait to put in the Green Lanterns at another time. Okay. Static Shock. The devil's advocate is, hey, when we reboot, what has been my pitch, right? One of my ideas was, okay, so we're going to have Todd Phillips do Joker 2. We're going to do let Matt Reeves do Batman 2 and 3. And after Batman 3, and then we get Flash, we're rebooting. It's going to be done. Batman 3 is going to be end of that era, and we're going to start over, and we're going to have one connected universe like MCU. Or MCU, even their what-if multiverse stuff, it's all connected, right? For good or bad. If Zaslav wants to do that, where everything is connected starting from this year, then I could see, okay, you're going to not do Static Shock because it doesn't fit into these plans, and you want to not have, like, because the argument would be, oh, if you have a DCEU, but then Multiverse or whatever Elseworlds Tales, Black Label, you could do Static Shock. That could be by itself. If they are doing the whole just universe, MCU, then I'm kind of more, not fine with it, because I'd like to see these movies and I'd like these communities get these movies, but I might be understanding of, oh, we want to do Static Shock, just we don't want to do this yet. Like, we have a plan, or we want to have a plan, or maybe the chief would come and say, hey, my Justice League lineup, I want Static Shock. And they're like, yeah, cool, do it. But this particular version is being shut down. What will bite them in the ass, though, is if they continue with the DCEU, and all these will get bit in the ass, if they continue with the DCEU, whether it is the Snyderverse or a reboot, and they're letting Matt Reeves at the same time doing Batman stuff. They're having a Joker 3. They're having these other Elseworld Tales. And Static Shock's not happening, and it can't be in the DCU or not in Elseworld. That's where you start to smell the bullshit, right? And that's where it's like all this stuff. And I don't give a shit. It's an example, and I'm digging in it now. Donald Trump, right? Whatever you want to say. This is just an example. It's not even political. It's a truth thing. When he was running for president, he said people that take the Fifth Amendment are usually, I don't even think he usually said they're guilty. You know, they whatever they've done, that is illegal. You know, whatever they're accused of, if it was doing something illegal, they did it. What's he doing right now? The Fifth Amendment. So either, which I believe he is exactly what he said, he is guilty for a lot of the shit he did, or he painted himself in a big fucking corner by saying that now years later. He's like, shit, I'd like to use Fifth Amendment, but it looks real bad. Not that he cares, but the same thing here. Zaslav says all these things, and he's being not exactly specific, but specific enough where, like the Batgirl quality thing, protecting the DC brand, and things like this universe, if they do a big old multiverse or big old Elseworlds of here's our different stories, and Static Shock's not happening, you go, why not? You know, and again, it'll be, oh, it just doesn't look good for DC. We want to be bigger. We want grand scale. You can then give Static Shock the fucking budget, make it grand scale. Like, hire some big actors, big directors, like, go make it big scale, you know? And then the other one with Black Superman, again, that one's tough, but that one, even before Zaslav took over, was very much on the back burner. I still hope the rumors of the Val Zod HBO Max series, again, it's HBO Max, so I don't know if they would do that, but with Michael B. Jordan producing and maybe starring in that, I hope that happens. I'm more interested in that. But with this to me makes sense, because I think it's tied up with whatever they are doing with Superman and Clark Kent and maybe Henry Cavill. But again, there could be justified reasons for all these, but the fact that they're all in a lineup, it don't look good. On paper, the optics look very bad. And again, one, creators will catch on to that. And two, just for creativity, you need diversity going on, because you get tales like a Black Panther, like a Wonder Woman, like, and many times in comics, but just talking about the films that I can appreciate, because I can appreciate, but also learn, because I haven't had that experience. I can't appreciate unless I talk to my friend, like a Kyle, or somebody that have had these experiences, right? The two examples that I use from like a cool standpoint and like a learning standpoint is Wonder Woman, when she has that dance scene with whatever the Danny Houston, the villain he was playing. It's like, oh, you could never do this from a male's point of view of him dancing with the villain. I guess if there was a female villain. And then as the movie progressed and just showing other things from her perspective, the female perspective, it's like, yeah, we've not gotten much of this. Why? Because it's always been a dude. And the same with Black Panther, that moment in the museum where she's talking to Killmonger, she's walking through, oh, there's this, and, you know, and then I can't remember the exact line, but it's like, oh, they, you know, took it and stole it and resold it just like you white people did with all our stuff, right? And it was, I know she's like, excuse me. And I was like that, but I was, excuse me, like, man, they're tackling this. And this is from this character's point of view. You can't do that. There's only so many things you can do with a white person's point of view. And it's not that it's invalid. What people have always said, it's not that it's, hey, this is the table. And let's say it's a table and I'm a creator. Travis, we're taking your table away. It's not that. It's never been that. It is putting more seats at the table. It is sitting there including everybody, because you also get different stories, different experiences, different life experiences. So, but with him saying that's not a key thing I'm worried about, we're so fucked. Like I'm Debbie Downer on most of this asshole stuff. It has to show me, but it's just like, again, maybe it's just a bunch of bad quotes, but a lot of things line up that don't look good. So we'll see. Let's take our last ad break, and then we're gonna do the quick hits with some trailers and some Saw news. Didn't think I'd be talking about that today, but we'll be right back. And we're back. So let's start with Saw 10. So people know this, right? We did a Saw retrospective. Go check that out. Years ago, I got Dylan hooked, and we've had a good time. Saw is one of the GeekVerse, I think, cornerstones as far as, like, we're talking about Lord of the Rings right now. And I'd say stuff like, not the big franchise. So take out your Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Marvel, like the stuff that's just key to GeekVerse is like Marvel Ultimate Alliance, Strikers was another big one. I think Mario Party at times. And for me, Saw is one of those where it's like not many podcasts are talking about Saw and stuff like that, right? But apparently there's a Saw 10 happening. And man, this franchise is just getting fucking messy, because so we got the original 7, right? That ended Jigsaw's story, Tobin Bell. Then we got Jigsaw, and it was in that universe. It was another kind of prequel, sequel sort of deal and everything like that. But I think that didn't really exactly work out for him. And then we got this cool thing, and I was very excited about it, as far as, hey, you have Chris Rock, Samuel Jackson, they got a new pitch on Saw, and it was called Spiral, and I liked it. Didn't do the greatest in the box office, but it released during COVID times. I remember I would have saw it. They didn't even release it on VOD here in Canada. It was fucking, like, they did later on, but on release, it was just a botched release. But so it's been this thing of, okay, we did the original series. Okay, we're doing a prequel sequel. Okay, we're doing a movie set in that universe that just acknowledges the Saw events, but it's doing its own thing. Now we have to go and get to Saw 10, which is very interesting. Let me read it here. Saw 10 is coming. And this is your proven track record. Here are some early details. It still looks to be a prequel focusing on Tobin Bell, with a plan to start shooting within the next 3 months in Mexico. Jigsaw / Spiral writers are back, but there's no story connection to those movies. I've heard, and then they continue, I've heard a name for that director that should make fans very happy if it's true, but I don't know if it's set yet, and I don't want to jinx it. Now, there's so many people below that are like, oh, Lee Winnell? James Wan? No, that's not happening. They had said many years they were doing the first 3, and then I think it's one of these that Lionsgate had the right, and they're just pound that franchise to the ground. Even they didn't direct those 2 and 3; they just wrote them, right, and like produced them. So I think they were very happy to move on. Hollywood's never moved on. Saw 10, sure, and I think I said this a few weeks ago that I thought Spiral could be hopefully a rejuvenization to the franchise. I did actually really like Spiral, so that, I'd be down to follow this route. I thought Chris Rock did a good job in there. I like the aspect of taking out the cops, but then nothing really happened. And I think, like I said a few weeks ago, it looks like Saw's kind of over for a bit, but lo and behold, out of nowhere, a tweet comes out that Saw 10's happening. I'm so mixed on this, because I think the franchise does need to go in a different direction, but it just can't escape Tobin Bell, which makes sense because Tobin Bell is the face. A prequel, we don't need that. We got a prequel. It's called Saw 4. Saw 4 pretty much gave the whole story of how he became Saw, or how he became Jigsaw, the cancer, losing his baby, the first trap, Cecil, the pig mask, everything. We saw the origins of it. This, to me, I guess, would just be another adventure with Tobin Bell. To me, this shows, hey, he was in Jigsaw a little bit, even though his face was all over the fucking posters, but he's only in it a little bit, and in Spiral, he's not in it. I think there's a bunch of producers going, you know why these films aren't succeeding? We need Tobin Bell back. And that was always the thing where people like, we got to move on from Tobin Bell and like kind of get its own life. And that's why I think Saw should honestly just do a full-on reboot, cast a new Jigsaw, stuff like that. But I'm and April Darkness in our Discord said a good quote of like, man, it's gonna be interesting to see that de-aging. Yeah, it depends how much of a prequel it is, but I think it will just be a couple 10 to 15 years around the time the first movies. Do we need this? Do I want this? Do we need this? No, but we don't need anything. Do I want this? Yes and no. The no is like, I think there's better things, like I said, a full on reboot you could do with Saw, but at the same time, Tone Bell is an older guy, so him playing Jigsaw, I'm never gonna bat an eye at and be like, oh, I don't want that. It's like, let's give people flowers while they're here, right? Like, if he wants to do it again, if they got another story, then sure, it's gonna be a prequel, so it's gonna have like that the Saw films already had that where you had the main story and then so much was a prequel, the flashback. If this is just a prequel, it's like it's literally just to get some more traps out there. I don't know. They pounded John Kramer. That was the thing. John Kramer / Jigsaw story. They pounded into the ground. There's not much left you can do there, and that's why in Jigsaw, I think everyone was pissed because it was like, fuck, like enough already. Like there's only so much you can do with this character and his backstory and adding things to it before his life's so convoluted. So I think from a business wise, I get why they'd bring him back. For fan wise, I'm iffy on it, but I'll watch it because I'm a Saw freak, sawfreaks.com or .forum. But I will watch it. I will look at it. Director, I think it could be, it could be Darren Lynn Bosman. That would get people excited. I think what would get me excited and other people excited are the people that did, or the guy that did 6 and 7. Now 7 sucked a lot. I think 7 is the worst Saw, and I think that's because he kind of phoned it in. He wanted to do Paranormal Activity, and he couldn't. It was a contract thing. Saw 6 was great, though. That was like getting back to the peak of the franchise. It almost saved it, but it didn't bomb. It just underwhelmed. So people like they got cut out. The legs are supposed to have 7 and 8. Didn't happen. So we'll see. Moving on from one creep to the next. Arnie Hammer. So this is just interesting. Now, speaking of Zaslav, everything, this is on Discovery Plus. It's coming out September 2nd. It's a story. It's called The Fall of Hammer, and it sets up as a story about Arnie Hammer, but then it also goes into a look at his family and the legacy and the lineage, which I knew nothing about, as far as like they've maybe been had some issues, had some shady stuff going on, some controversial stuff. Didn't know about these items in the past. So I'm interested in the story because the Arnie Hammer thing is still one of the craziest things of. It's the closest thing we could get to like a Patrick Bateman, where you got this good-looking guy. And I know people show clips all the time comparing to Bateman now, but it's like this good-looking guy, smooth career, successful. And I know it's happens with other serial killers, but someone in the public eye like this. And again, I guess he's not a serial killer. It sounds like he is maybe an abuser, takes things too far. And there's texts of him just saying, I am 100% a cannibal, which is just, is that a guy who just kind of messed up and that's a weird way of flirting, or does he get off on that, or has he actually ate human skin? Like there's a text message they show in this. It's the fucking weirdest stuff where it's like, oh, I want to take one of your ribs and barbecue it. And it's just like, what the fuck? What is going on? So the story here is interesting, and they have some women here talking about. My only problem with this was, to me, this felt very cheesy, very over the top. The way that I feel like, true crime documentaries have had such a prevalent jump nowadays, right? Because I think no matter what people say, there is a curiosity of evil and what can create that. And whether it's podcasts, Netflix documentaries, HBO, like everyone, I've always said, watch The Jinx. That is the ultimate of true crime docs. It is just a piece of fucking, I won't say art, but just goddamn good work. And it led to someone getting arrested. That's always the best stuff there. But this is the height of what's going on now. But I feel like there's some that we all know there is. When let's say Netflix puts out a few good ones, you've watched them, and then you just go to the bottom of the barrel and you're just trying to find things. And not that I'm saying this story is sensationalized, because lots of stuff could be true, but they made it feel like a lot bigger than it actually is. Now, it could be this big. It was just the editing and what the trailer looked like. The trailer looked very, just like I said, very kind of almost People magazine-ish sort of way. But we're all going to watch this because we're all so curious, right? And yeah, S-Pubs, fresh, the menu, and House of Hammer. What a year we're having for people eating weird stuff, right? So that's coming out. I will definitely watch this, and just because we only know so little. I remember that story breaking and thinking, this is probably fake and stuff like that. And the fact that it broke, and now apparently he's just like what is he? I think he's like a retail agent or something, or like a housing agent or something like that now. It's a fucking crazy ass story. And it's a lot quieter than we all thought, as far as I feel like the way it's blown over, but it's still, it picked up. To me, the reason why it's scary is because you didn't see it everywhere, I don't think. You just saw, oh, he's going to get help. But it was like you were in the bowels of Twitter seeing these text messages and seeing these things like, what the fuck's going on, Arnie Hammer? And then now I feel like it's getting more prevalent. And that's why I feel like lots of shit's probably true, because it just, it was very quiet and it was dealt with, not dealt with, but it went away kind of fast. But I just feel like it is, most of these things did happen because he got help real quick and he fell off the map. This is what I'm trying to say is, it's not like other people who have these controversies and they're back to acting. James Franco, this, that. It's like, no, he was no longer doing stuff. People were hiding movies. Oh, yeah, so that's gonna be interesting. And then finally, our last topic today, the menu. So, great cast. Anya Taylor-Joy, Ray Fiennes, Nicholas Hoult, some other people in there. It's funny. So a couple months ago, the teaser came out, and I never watched it. I was on Newcast, forgot to watch it. So Kirklin and Dylan had to talk about it. But I just knew from the pitch, the trailer, I was like, or at least I thought I knew, oh, this must be about eating people. Now, this trailer, that could be a twist, and that could be a thing. But this much more looked like a combination of Knives Out and Game Night, where if you remember Game Night, that's Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams. They do this game night thing, right? And the whole kind of fun pitch of it is they're doing this, but they also get in the middle of an actual like crime and stuff. Let's see. S-Bubs does it show a lot, the new trailer. And I'll try to be not as specific as it could be. I'll just say it shows more aspects of the plot. I don't think it's like a spoiler. It does show a few more things like what's going on, but it looks like the bare minimum is there might be some sort of show or a game going on, and it's like, what is real, what is not, or it's a setup of, okay, this is how they got us in here, and now it's all real. It was interesting. It's not what I was expecting. I suppose if you're already in, I'd say don't watch it because I won't say specifics. They just show certain things they're doing with the food that like lead to the mystery, and they talk about there's a theme for the whole night and like little clues. It felt this time more murder mystery than it did Fresh or like a cannibal thing, and we don't even know that. That's just assuming. It felt more like a game. It felt more like a Saw or like a Squid Game where it's like you're putting pieces together. Sometimes he might be cooking like little messages in the food, things like that. Like and it looks like there's some crime aspect to it. So this took a turn that I was like already in, but this took a turn that got me even more interested of, okay, what's going on with this? And Arn's right. Anything with Anya Taylor-Joy, I'm in. Yeah, Anya Army, we're all in it, and it's her world. We're just living in it. And it looks like it had a bit more comedic slant, and that's where I honestly felt I got more Knives Out vibe than I did like a horror thriller this time around. It had that, but I'm excited. I think this comes out in November. I think it's going to TIFF too. So this got me a little more intrigued. I was already intrigued because, as a Silence of the Lambs fan, like anytime you get to the cannibal stuff in the killer realm, you go, okay, because same thing as those documentaries, like what does it cause for people to want to eat other people? And there's always kind of interesting, dark, fun things they can do with it, and fun twists and how they consume and what's this and da. But it was the cast. Same thing. I think you take that same teaser, and this does look interesting. Actually, here's my switch. First teaser, eventually did see it. This is like, oh, this looks interesting, but I'm going to see it because the cast. This looks like even if I didn't know anybody in the cast, I would be excited for this trailer. And as I said, you'll probably watch it. Yeah, you should. You don't even care about some Marvel spoilers and stuff like that. But with this trailer, even if I didn't know the actors or actresses, I went, okay, now I'm actually into the movie. Not just they might be eating people, might be cannibal stuff or eating weird stuff. What's going on? This got me invested of what the game or plot could be. So yeah, that's good. Excited for November. I think we'll be reviewing. I think a few of us, because I think we've talked about before that we're interested in it. So yeah, that does it for Travis Told You. Shorter episode today, but that's not a bad thing because I got a podcast a lot tomorrow, and this room's actually getting quite hot. I got to make dinner, and yeah, we'll see whatever news topics may break and whatnot tomorrow. Thank you everybody in the chat for joining me today, and I promise the next time you hear from me, it'll not be